West Bend West 3-1. Watertown Lutheran Prep fell to East Troy 3-0. Marshall falls to Lake Country Lutheran 3-0. Waterloo got the win over Marquezan 3-0. Randolph with a win over Argyle 3-0. And CWC fell to Gibraltar 3-2. That is a check of sports. Now here's your Badger Minute.
ESPN presents your Badger Minute.
Brought to you by Columbus Family Dental. Call 920-623-5559 or visit them on the web at columbusfamilydental.com. Former Wisconsin Athletic Director Pat Richter shared this week on the Pat Richter Show on ESPN Madison what he thinks of the 23rd-ranked Badgers matchup with Illinois this Saturday for homecoming at Camp Randall Stadium.
You just can never take them lightly, I think, from our standpoint. We have to play a lot better in order to overcome a lot of the shortcomings. And so the early game, homecoming, back in Madison, should have all the positive things going for us, and I think that we to kind of play to the opponent. So hopefully if Illinois is not on top of their game, we don't drop back to their level. We come out and play our kind of football the way we should play, the way we played the first maybe half down at Michigan. We have to worry about ourselves, control the things that we can control, and not worry about the opponent. But the longer you keep a team like an Illinois in the game, the tougher it is.
I love going to the dentist!
The very first thing people notice about you is your smile. At Columbus Family Dental, we understand how important first impressions can be, and we want to help you achieve a smile that will make lasting impressions. Hi, this is Dr. Adam Forrester, and along with our team of doctors, we promise to work with each patient individually to create a personalized treatment plan. We take pride in the wide range of dental services we provide, including dentistry for the entire family. Call us today to set up a consultation at 623-5559.
Now this news update on Wisconsin Radio Network. I'm Pat Curtis. The death of a baby is being investigated in Wausau. Police say the 2-month-old boy died last Thursday night while in the care of a babysitter. That 28-year-old woman was arrested early Friday at a hotel. Hunters found skeletal remains this weekend in rural Adams County. They could be those of a man missing for more than a year.
The Adams County Sheriff's Office says the remains could belong to William J. Sheeran, who went missing in June of 2017. The Wisconsin State Crime Lab and the Adams County Medical Examiner are still conducting remains. Bill Wise, Wisconsin Radio Network.
A busy week ahead for campaign rallies in Wisconsin. While Bernie Sanders is in the state today, appearing with several Democrats running for office, Barack Obama will be in Milwaukee Friday. President Donald Trump will rally with Republicans on Wednesday in Mosinee. This is Wisconsin Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Governor Tommy Thompson. When I was governor, I had to make some tough decisions to turn things around. We lowered taxes to create jobs, and we reformed welfare and education to give everyone in Wisconsin a fighting chance. Scott Walker also had tough decisions to make. It's part of the job. Before he was governor, Wisconsin had a huge deficit. Unemployment hit 9.3%, and property taxes went through the roof. Scott Walker's reforms stayed around. More people are working this year than ever before. The deficit is gone, and property taxes are lower than when Scott was elected. And he made historic investments in schools and helped bring good-paying manufacturers back to Wisconsin. We cannot afford to go backwards by raising income and property taxes. I'm Tommy Thompson. Let's keep Wisconsin working with Governor Walker.
Paid for by Francis Scott Walker.
This is Alicia Barudin, your state assembly candidate for District 39. I decided to run for office because I can't sit on the sidelines and watch lawmakers place private interests ahead of community strength. The current trend of providing loopholes and extra tax breaks for a few should not make our community bear more burden. I am concerned about the direction of public education, the potential erosion of our environment, and the quality of life for middle-class families. I believe in a system that is fair and stands for people over politics. Party lines do not define our community, our country, or our humanity. I plan to find solutions to empower all of us and not just a few at the top. This desire to improve lives while helping to secure a strong Wisconsin is why I am running for office. Vote for me, Alicia Barudin, on November 6th. I promise to stand up for you and with you.
Paid for by Alicia Barudin for Wisconsin.
Whether you're getting ready for a buddy's weekend or conquering the honey-do list, Fleet Farm has deals for every season. Like select Cooper tires, buy 4, get $120 in savings. Federal non-typical rifle ammo, starting at $7.99 after rebate. Frost King window insulation kits, save 20% on all kits. Plus, come on into Toyland for the best toys at unbeatable prices. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
You are listening to AM 1430 WBEV, streaming online at dailydodge.com. It is time now for today's community comment. Here's your host, Craig Warmbold.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment. On Community Comment today, we begin the first of a series of one-on-one interviews with state legislative candidates in area races. On programs coming up later this week, we will be speaking with the candidates in the 39th Assembly District, Republican incumbent Mark Bourne and his Democratic challenger, Alicia Barudin. Today and then again next week, Tuesday, we sit down with the candidates that are vying for State Senate District 13. On Tuesday, October 30th, we will have State Senator Scott Fitzgerald in the studio joining us. Today we have his Democratic challenger, Michelle Zahn. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. We are going to start out with some basic biographical information. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your family life, work history, service organization affiliations, any previous elected or appointed positions that you might have. Just tell us, take as much time as you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, well, my name is Michelle Zahn. I'm 63. I am a Democrat, and I am married to Jim Zahn for 45 years. We have 3 children, 9 grandchildren with another on the way, 1 great-grandson. I am a retired dairy farmer. We currently raise beef cattle, and I have a flock of sheep I raise for their wool so that I can spin the wool and make beautiful things. I'm the owner and operator of the Soap Lady, which is it's an online mail order business. I've been in business since 1977. I started making soap because I had to. Our daughter was born with a skin disease, and doctors couldn't figure out how to fix her, so I did. And as the Soap Lady, I want to clean up government in Wisconsin. I want to fix it. I have just as much prior elected office experience as Scott Fitzgerald did the first time he ran for office, which is none. I've spent more than 27 years on boards of directors of various nonprofits in the area. Community service is very important to me, and I see public office as community service. There, I think I differ from my opponent in that from his behavior over the past 24 years, I would say that he sees public service as a mode for personal enrichment. I see public service as community service. Government is supposed to be making the life of the people who live here better.
Tell us, if you would, why you're running for State Senate District 13.
I thought I just did. I guess my coin phrase is that I want to live in a community, in a society where we all care about one another as much as we care about ourselves, where we all care about other people's children as much as we care about our own. And in my mind, that means we need new leadership, because present leadership is about divide and conquer. It's not about uniting and making everybody else's life better.
Well, what specific goals or legislative bills do you have in mind if you were elected? What would you like to champion if you were in the state Senate?
Wow. I'd say the number one primary issue is climate change. And I realize that's a national issue, but it's not going to be adopted by our national government, without push from state governments. And state governments aren't going to do it without push from lower governments. So it's important to me that we have people in positions of leadership who understand that climate change is a very real issue. If it doesn't affect my life individually, I can say that it is affecting the lives of everyone else in one way, shape, or form. If you look at the West Coast or the East Coast, it's obvious. So it's important to me that we have people in positions of leadership who understand and support the science, and then understand that education is important. So we need to fund our universities so that there is money for research. We need research into alternative energies. We need research into climate control. And Wisconsin isn't doing that. So we need to change our leadership.
The Taiwanese technology giant Foxconn is building a $10 billion LCD screen plant in Mount Pleasant. And state taxpayers are committed to spending $3 billion in job-creating tax breaks, utility and road amenities, and more, again, with thousands of jobs planned. What is your opinion on the incentives used to bring Foxconn to Racine County?
My opinion is that it was a big mistake. First of all, this is costing at least $2,000 per every single woman, man, woman, and child in the state of Wisconsin, and I can think of many other ways to spend that kind of money. Supporting a business that is coming from outside of Wisconsin, and in this case, even outside of the United States, to that tune of money, just so that we can create jobs, these jobs are not big-paying, high-skilled jobs. There are very few big-paying, high-skilled jobs being offered by Foxconn. The profits from this business are not going to stay in Wisconsin. They're going to Taiwan. It's counterproductive to me that our taxpayers, that our tax dollars are supporting a business that isn't going to support the state. It's a mistake.
What plan or ideas would you support to bring jobs to Wisconsin?
That's a really complicated question, and I think there are a lot of factors here. In order for people to have a good quality life, there are certain basic needs that need to be met. Housing, a decent job, health care, personal happiness, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence says that we're all entitled to the pursuit of life, liberty, the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Present government has completely forgotten, in my opinion, the pursuit of happiness. Happy people don't shoot one another. We need to be more concerned about whether or not all of the people around us are happy. Let's look at my house. There are people who live in my house. Every person who lives in my house has responsibilities based on their capabilities, their personal capabilities. And if one person doesn't live up to his or her responsibility, then the whole house falls apart. I see Wisconsin as my home, my house, and everyone within it has personal responsibilities. Everyone within it has obligations based on their capabilities. So we have corporations that live in our house, in our state of Wisconsin. Those corporations have responsibilities. They should have responsibilities, and they should pay their fair share for the privilege of living here. That said, we have tax policies, property tax policies, income tax policies that aren't fair. Little people in the state of Wisconsin, the homeowners are paying 60% of the property taxes. But homeowners don't own 60% of the real estate. So we need to look at this. We need to figure this out. And as a government, stop giving tax incentives to outside corporations, outside businesses, luring them here so that the poor people can support them. It makes no sense.
What's your take on the state's minimum wage? Do you think it should be adjusted annually?
Absolutely raised. Here's the thing. Working people with money in their pockets support the economy. If we are taxing them, if we're causing them to have to pay more and more and more for their health care, they don't have money to spend to support the businesses here. We need to raise the minimum wage. We need to get rid of medical insurance companies altogether. Health care, in my opinion, is a service. It is a public service, not supposed to be an industry. And yet, here we are. Health care is an industry. What does that mean? By definition, an industry is beholden to its shareholders. So the only way the healthcare industry's shareholders can make money, basically, is for sick people to be sick.
Well, let's elaborate on that a little bit. What role do you think that state should play in providing health care for individuals and families?
I think it should play a 100% role. I don't think we need insurance companies anymore. I think they have outlived their usefulness. They've become more based on greed and personal enrichment. CEOs of insurance companies are making six-figure salaries. And yet every single person that I know, and I'm betting every single person you know, has been ill at one time or another and had their health care services denied by the insurance companies. Those of us who have had that experience know, some of us who have had that experience know that the first time you're denied, you can argue, and you go back, and you go back, and you go back. With my husband, he was in Beaver Dam Hospital with MRSA, which is a really, really scary thing. And they were talking about amputating his leg. And then they were talking about how the medicine that he was taking, the medicine that he was being given via IV, could be administered at home with a pill. But the insurance company denied that claim. They wouldn't let us have the pill. My opponent held up legislation requiring insurance companies to cover the cost of oral medication for diseases like that and for cancers. He held up that legislation for 3 years. Why? Because the pharmaceutical and health industries were supporting his candidacy. So that brings me to campaign reform and campaign finance reform. I have deliberately run this time expressly not calling people and asking them for money. I didn't send out any letters asking for money. I didn't make any phone calls asking for money, because it is abhorrent to me that we've reached a place where somehow or another, the candidate that gets more money is the better candidate. That, again, that makes no sense to me. It means that the rich, the insanely wealthy, are controlling our politics. They're controlling every aspect of our government. So I propose that, one, no more private money can be used for campaigning. No more private donations. Absolutely none. I know that there are taxpayers out there who are abhorrent to the idea that our tax dollars should cover campaigning. But here's the thought. I've traveled all around the world visiting other countries and learning about how their governments do things. And one of the things that I've studied is campaigning. There are several countries where there is no such thing as campaign finance privately. For instance, in Sweden, every candidate is given one sheet of paper this size, 8.5 by 11. You can put anything you want on both sides. Pictures, color, black and white, no matter. These are distributed then by the government to every single residence and every single public place so that every single citizen has an opportunity to read about what their candidate stands for. There's one major rule. No backstabbing. If you say anything negative about your opponent, you are out of the race. So that's a really good idea, I think. Another rule there is that the campaign lasts a minimum of 3 months before the election day. Now, at present, in this country, we're campaigning year-round. Every single candidate for every single for every single position is campaigning year-round. What does that mean? That means our representatives are spending a great deal of time campaigning and far less time doing things that make our lives better. Like, let's see, healthcare, education, housing, the economy, creating jobs. They're not spending any time doing that when they're spending so much time campaigning. So I think we need campaign finance reform and we need campaign reform.
Some might suggest that limiting money in a race is equivalent to limiting free speech. What are your thoughts?
I think the past several years since we had that Supreme Court ruling called Citizens United has proven that that is, I can't say BS on the radio. When you equate money with speech, you are saying that the people who have more money have bigger words, louder words, more powerful words than the people who don't have money. So I do not equate money with speech.
To go back to our conversation about health care here before we wrap up this first segment, having a state pay for all the health care, there would be a financial component to that. How would you pay for that?
We already have that, or have had that, in the state of Wisconsin. It's called Badger Care. We already have that nationally. It's called Medicare. I'm saying that we need to have Badger Care or Medicare for all. And you would pay for that by eliminating the insurance industry.
Our guest here is Michelle Zahn. She is the Democrat that is running for State Senate District 13, challenging incumbent State Senator Scott Fitzgerald. Senator Fitzgerald will be our guest here on Community Comment 1 week from tomorrow on Tuesday, October 30th. In fact, that will be 1 day before all of the candidates that we'll be having on Community Comment will be appearing at a Beaver Dam Chamber of Commerce forum. That is on the evening of Wednesday, October 31st, live from the Veterans Center, also broadcast on our dailydodge.com website. And also, I know we're working on making sure that is on AM 1430 WBEV as well. Stay tuned for more details. In the meantime, again, our guest is Michelle Zahn, Democratic candidate for State Senate. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
be listening to Back Talk, an informational talk show presented by Waupun Chiropractic on Wednesday, October 24th at 11:10 a.m. on WBEV. Dr. Amanda Sparks will be in studio and can answer your questions. That's Wednesday, October 24th at 11:10 a.m. on WBEV.
This is AM 1430 WBEV Beaver Dam, streaming online at dailydodge.com. Take advantage of the Countryside Ford Quick Lane Works package. Oil change, tire rotation, and free inspection, just $39.95. No appointment necessary. Available Monday through Saturday. Stop in for an AC check, too. Countryside Ford, 330 Transit Road, Columbus.
Jim Gray from Westwood One with a Monday Night Football preview. Brought to you by Dickey's. Right now, Dickey's barbecue pit ribs are all you can eat for just $19.99. Go to Dickeys.com. Coming up, it's the Giants at the Atlanta Falcons. The tough 1-5 record for Eli Manning and the Giants matches last season's start, but Manning says this year is different.
Yeah, I think it's just different from last year because last year we were banged up and we lost a bunch of players, and it was hard to kind of see the bright side of it. Where this year, you see a bright side. You see it, that it can get better. We have good players. We have good character guys. I think there's a great opportunity for us to improve and win a bunch of football games.
Kevin Harlan and Hall of Famer Kurt Warner will have the call. Join us on Monday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long on your home for the Green Bay Packers. AM 1430 WBEV.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
This Green and Gold Fix is brought to you by Quality Cellular, next to Rechex in Beaver Dam.
The Packers come from behind win over the 49ers, push their record to 3-2-1 on the season. Green Bay's upcoming schedule after the bye week sees them play 4 of their next 5 games on the road, starting this Sunday with a trip to the first-place LA Rams. Linebacker Clay Matthews feels the team is better than their record indicates.
Obviously at 2-2-1, we put ourselves in that position. I feel like our record should be better with some of the games we dropped, but to get this one in the fashion and manner in which we did, hopefully the adversity situation that we overcome will pay dividends in the long run. So we'll try and get that win, enjoy it, enjoy some time off, and come back ready to rock for the last 10 games.
We'll see if Matthews and the rest of the Packers can add to their win total this Sunday when they travel to the West Coast to face the Los Angeles Rams. Kickoff from the LA Coliseum is set for 3:25.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. Whether it's I'll fix it myself season or nothing keeps me warmer than Carhartt season. Get what you need for cookies are the best after-school snack season. Nothing a new coat of paint can't fix season. And even squeeze in one last camping trip season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
Columbus Community Hospital. Need a hip replacement? The average stay of Columbus Community Hospital is 1.8 days. Columbus Community Hospital, building a caring relationship, one patient at a time.
Visit the health and wellness page at dailydodge.com. Brought to you by Prairie Ridge Assisted Living.
This is AM 1430 WBEV, streaming online at dailydodge.com. Time for more of today's community comment. Here again is your host, Craig Warmbold.
And our guest is Michelle Zahn. She is the Democratic candidate for State Senate District 13. She is challenging the incumbent, Scott Fitzgerald, who will be our guest 1 week from tomorrow on Tuesday, October 30th at this same time, also streaming on dailydodge.com here on AM 1430 WBEV. As we continue our conversation looking at some of the issues that are going to be most likely coming before the legislature here or have recently come before the legislature in recent months and years. I want to talk about something that a number of municipalities in recent months have addressed. There's been some communities have been adopting resolutions asking the state legislature to close the so-called dark stores loophole. The League of Wisconsin Municipalities defines the loophole as allowing big box stores to lower their property tax bill by having their property assessed as if no one is operating in the business. What is your position on the property assessment for such stores?
By that logic, my farmhouse should be assessed at the same value as a vacant, rundown farmhouse. So, in my opinion, we have two choices. We can either give all property owners the same privilege as the box stores are asking, or they can pay their fair share of our property taxes. We get back to where I said that I think of Wisconsin as my house. This is where I live. Everyone in it should be responsible for their fair share of the smooth operation of this house. So that includes big box stores.
What is your position on the legislative redistricting process in Wisconsin? Do you think elected officials should be responsible for drawing district boundaries, or should that responsibility be handled by a nonpartisan third party?
It should absolutely be handled by a nonpartisan third party. Asking either party to draw the lines is, it's nonsense. The party in power is going to draw district lines to favor the party in power.
I was expecting a longer answer. I apologize for pausing there. What is your position on the state formula for education funding in terms of both revenues from the state and the role that local property taxes play?
What is my opinion on the state formula? If you're talking about vouchers, are you talking about vouchers?
We could take it there.
All right. In my opinion, state tax dollars funding voucher schools is tantamount to funding two separate systems. We cannot afford to fund two separate systems. Public education is a public service funded by public money. The public money should be used only to fund public education. That's how I feel.
What is your position on gun control, specifically as it relates to assault weapons and so-called bump stocks?
All right, specifically to assault weapons and bump stocks, I see absolutely no reason why either of those things should be in the hands of the general public. We need to ban assault weapons. However, I'm not really comfortable with the term gun control. In my humble opinion, you all can keep your guns. It's too late now to think that we could ever talk about gun confiscation. I am not about that, but I'll tell you what I am about. Here's the thing. Guns require ammunition. I am about ammunition control. I think that ammunition, the sale of all ammunition, should be controlled the same way we control Sudafed. Why do we control Sudafed? Because somebody figured out how to use Sudafed to make meth and cause damage, harm to society. Well, people are using ammunition to cause death and harm to society. So let's talk about controlling ammunition the same way we control the sale of Sudafed. And by that I mean, when you buy ammunition, you show ID, and record is kept about how much and what kind of ammunition you have purchased, so that alarms can go up or off when someone begins to amass that ammunition. I think the law enforcement should be grateful for that kind of policy. I should think. Because there was a shooting recently, I believe it was in Florida, but I could be mistaken, where there was a man inside the house and had lots of ammunition and lots of guns. And the comment from the officers who answered that call, the comment was, "I wish we had known he had that much in that house." My proposal would have allowed that knowledge to be available to the police.
What are your thoughts about spending state dollars on mental health assessments and increased mental health assessments for those who would seek it who may not have the money to afford it?
That goes right in with healthcare. Healthcare is a public service. When everyone around me is healthy, I'm healthier. That goes for mental health and physical health. The basic thought here, the basic idea here is that everybody who lives in my house needs to be healthy. We all have to be responsible for that. We all have to help pay for that.
Is the state doing enough to combat the opioid crisis? What more could be done, if not?
The state is not doing enough to combat the opioid crisis. The state, our representatives are taking money from the pharmaceutical industries and the health insurance companies to stay in office, and that the pharmaceutical companies have to take some responsibility for this opioid crisis. For example, opioids, painkillers, are overprescribed. How many of us have gone to the hospital for some kind of surgery and been sent home with painkillers more than we need? And then those painkillers end up in the medicine cabinet, and then someone who isn't supposed to get it gets it. That is far more common than needs be.
What are your thoughts about the populations in state prisons?
I don't remember where I read that more than 50% of the population in our prisons, particularly in the state of Wisconsin, are nonviolent criminals. People don't need to be incarcerated for nonviolent crimes. I personally think that the main reason that people are being incarcerated in the state of Wisconsin is for profit. Everything is for profit. And that in itself is a crime. Incarcerating nonviolent criminals doesn't make the rest of us safer. We have to stop that.
Does that include drug dealers, drug users? Where do you draw the line with nonviolent criminals?
Where do you draw the line with drugs? Are you talking about marijuana?
Well, so if you were to maybe
I would totally
draw the line.
Completely.
What does that mean to decriminalize versus, say, states that are, I believe, legalizing?
I would legalize it 100%. Plant. I don't think anyone should be serving prison time possession of a plant or sale of a plant. The pharmaceutical industry is, they don't support the legalization of marijuana. And I personally think it is because marijuana has been shown to be, it's a very good pain reliever. It helps with cancer patients. It helps with anxiety. It helps with PSD. And it's cheap. That's about it.
Do you believe that opioid users and or opioid dealers should go to prison?
Opioid users? Oh my gosh. There's lots and lots of people who have been prescribed opioids for painkillers.
Illegal, I should say, illegal opioids.
We need to get back to the marijuana thing. I have spoken with our sheriff about this very issue, and he is convinced that marijuana is a gateway drug to opioids. And I beg to differ. The only thing about marijuana that makes it a gateway drug is the fact that it's illegal. Because at present, if someone wants marijuana, they have to buy it illegally. And when they go to a dealer for marijuana, the dealer has every incentive to introduce them to opioids over marijuana because they can make more money on opioids. Basically, pretty much every one of our problems that we're facing today as a society and as a whole is money.
Going back to the, we'll say, opioid dealer question, heroin dealers, should they be locked up?
Yes, that's what I think. I don't have personal experience with drug addiction. I met Jim when I was 17 and got married when I was 18. I haven't had a whole lot of time in my life to do bad things. People who are addicted to hard drugs need help. They're not criminals. I don't see people who are addicted to opioids as criminals. They should not be imprisoned. They need to be helped. People who support an addict's addiction, I do see them as criminals. Does that answer your question?
That does.
All right.
Thank you. Michelle Zahn, she is the Democratic candidate for State Senate District 13. She is challenging Republican incumbent State Senator Scott Fitzgerald, who will be our guest 1 week from tomorrow on Tuesday, October 30th at this same time. And AM 1430 WBEV also streaming live at dailydodge.com. We do have to take a break. When we come back, we will wrap up our conversation with Michelle Zahn.
Be listening to Back Talk, an informational talk show presented by Waupun Chiropractic on Wednesday, October 24th at 11:10 a.m. on WBEV. Dr. Amanda Sparks will be in studio and can answer your questions. That's Wednesday, October 24th at 11:10 a.m. on WBEV.
Don't miss the Fleet Farm Truckload Savings Event this Friday through Sunday. We're passing big savings onto you with the best deals, like Remington 87-quart storage trunks on sale for $14.99. KT Wild Bird Food, 20-pound bags are 2 for $8. Valvoline Conventional Oil, 5 quarts are only $13.99. And save $100 on the Bandit 18-foot ladder stand for 3 days only. Truckload season is Fleet Farm season. Fleet Farm. Built for real life.
When it comes to finding the right assisted living resource, Prairie Ridge knows exactly what is important when making such a large decision for yourself or a loved one. That is why Prairie Ridge Assisted Living in Beaver Dam and Waupun are proud to offer amenities that will help make the transition seamless. They have thought of every detail to create an at-home environment, from being pet-friendly, providing private, spacious apartment-like rooms with private baths and kitchenettes. They also feature rehab assistance, numerous social activities, an on-site chapel, and a large experienced staff of caregivers to help provide you with all of your needs. Go online at prairieridgeassisted.com and request your private tour today. And come and see all of the amazing amenities Prairie Ridge Assisted Living in Beaver Dam and Waupun have to offer. Prairie Ridge Assisted Living, where home is first and assisted living is second.
This is the Buck Hunter Show. I'm Buck Hunter, and I am one. Let's go to the phones.
Yeah, Buck, I was considering retiring from hunting, but I think I'll miss the deer.
Don't worry, you've been missing them for years.
Huh?
Next caller.
Buck, I'm ready for bow hunting season. Why should I go to Pernitz to get my deer processed?
Well, the price for one thing, just $70 with hide credit. That includes skinning, cutting, wrapping, and freezing. You'll get award-winning products, including summer sausage, 9 flavors, including double smoked, wieners, jerky, cheddar wurst, their famous hot sticks, and much more. Drop off your deer at any of their 3 locations: Pernit Hazy Meats in Juneau, Pernit Premium Meats in Johnson Creek, and Pernit's of Ixonia in Ixonia. For additional information, check out their website at pernits.com. This is Buck Hunter saying, be safe out there. Trust Pernit's, over 36 years experience. Hunt them down this fall. During bow season, September 16th through November 9th only, all 3 locations have an after-hours drop-off and are your deer donation locations.
John Wallace had vision problems and saw the ophthalmologist at Vita Park Eye Associates in Beaver Dam.
I had cataracts, I had stigmatism, and I had nearsightedness. They said that the correction in my lenses was as far as they could go to make it any better. They recommended that I have surgery and implant the toric lens. After they did the surgery, I took the dog out one night and looked up in the sky. Lo and behold, I saw stars like I did never seen it. I can't remember when. I can see off in the distance trees, the branches on the trees, and I don't need light to see printing. It's really fantastic. I can't say enough about it.
Dr. Thomas Castillo and Dr. Jay Wilkins are the eye surgeons at Vita Park Eye Associates in Beaver Dam. If you need cataract surgery, ask about the corrective lens implants and how the toric lens can help improve your life. Partially covered by Medicare, results may vary.
Listen to WBEV online anytime at dailydodge.com. Brought to you by Beaver Dam Piggly Wiggly.
This is AM 1430 WBEV, streaming online at dailydodge.com. Time for more of today's community comment. Here again is your host, Craig Warmbold.
And our guest is Michelle Zahn. She is the Democratic candidate for Wisconsin State Senate District 13, challenging Republican incumbent Scott Fitzgerald, who will be our guest 1 week from tomorrow here on WBEV's Community Comment program, both on the air and streaming online. We are wrapping up our conversation here with Michelle Zahn. A couple more questions left. I want to begin with a statewide story, but one that we've heard a little bit about here in Beaver Dam because it's one that our fire chief, Alan Mannell, has been a big proponent of. A state agency last year said it could no longer enforce a rule that requires fire sprinklers for apartment buildings with 3 to 20 units. The Department of Safety and Professional Services cites a state law that says agencies cannot write and enforce rules stricter or more strict than what the law actually says. And the last law passed by the governor and legislature called for sprinklers only in buildings with 20 or more units. Some fire officials, including Beaver Dam Fire Chief Alan Mannell, say it's a bad idea not to have sprinkler systems inside apartments with less than 20 units. Do you feel the law needs to be changed to require sprinklers in such apartment units?
Absolutely. I want to know why the residents in buildings that have 20 units or more are more valuable or more important than those who live in smaller units. That would be my question.
Let's talk about public assistance.
Okay.
Do you feel drug tests should be given to all people on public assistance?
Absolutely not. Do you know who writes that legislation? The owners of the drug tests. They profit by that. It's been shown time and time and time again that when we use drug testing as the basis for whether or not a person can get a job or be on public assistance or any of the rest of those things, the only people who benefit are the producers of the drug tests. That would be the pharmaceutical companies. I can see why drug testing is important for a job that requires, I don't know, operation of dangerous machinery or driving a truck on our roads. I certainly don't want a drug addict driving a semi or operating a train. But making everyone on public assistance take a drug test, it's been shown time and time and time again that those tests most often come back negative. It's counterproductive to do that. No, long answer.
Should able-bodied adults be required to work, increase job searches, or undertake job training to collect food stamps?
My gosh, more than the term able-bodied needs to be taken into consideration. A single mom with, 3 kids under school age or 3 young kids is far more productive at home taking care of her children than she would be going to work in the state of Wisconsin for minimum wage or less.
Finally today, why should voters on November 6th vote for Michelle Zahn in State Senate District 13?
All right. You should vote for me because I believe in spending taxpayers' money in ways that will benefit you. My opponent's record shows that to date, over $2 million in taxpayers' money has been spent to defend the GOP district lines that have been drawn. Ultimately, those lines have been ruled unconstitutional by the court, so they're still fighting it. Those funds did nothing to benefit you. I also believe that all proposed legislation should be open for public debate before becoming law. Scott Fitzgerald does not allow adequate time for public debate on most issues that are brought to the floor under his leadership. That's why you should vote for me.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Again, Michelle Zahn is the Democratic candidate in State Senate District 13. Her opponent, incumbent Republican Scott Fitzgerald, will be our guest 1 week from tomorrow on Tuesday, October 30th at this same time, 12:35, airing on AM 1430 WBEV and also streaming live at dailydodge.com. Also want to let our listeners know about programming we have coming up later this week. On Wednesday, we'll be sitting down with the incumbent Republican in the race for State Assembly District number 39, Mark Bourne of Beaver Dam. His challenger, Democrat Alicia Barudin, will be our guest on Thursday. Both of those programs beginning at 12:35, airing on AM 1430 WBEV and streaming live in audio and video at dailydodge.com. All 4 of these candidates will also be sitting down at the Beaver Dam Chamber of Commerce-sponsored Candidates Forum on Wednesday, October 31st. We will be bringing you that on dailydodge.com as well. Stay tuned for further information about our broadcast schedule. In the meantime, I want to thank Michelle Zahn for joining me on today's program.
You're welcome.
That is going to do it for today's Community Comment.
I'm Tim Green, president of Burris Seed. If you're not growing Burris, let us help you capture the most return on your seed investment dollar.
Not every acre is flat, well-drained prairie soil, so Burris tests on all soils.
We guide you on the best products for you, your soils, and your management style.
When Dad and I make seed decisions, Burris is at the top of the list. We like working with an independent company that looks ahead. I'm 4th-generation Burris grower, Luke Shoney. We plant Burris because I want this farm to be here for my children and theirs.
Plant your legacy. BurrisSeed.com.
Hello, I'm Governor Tommy Thompson. When I was governor, I had to make some tough decisions to turn things around. We lowered taxes to create jobs, and we reformed welfare and education to give everyone in Wisconsin a fighting chance. Scott Walker also had tough decisions to make. It's part of the job. Before he was governor, Wisconsin had a huge deficit. Unemployment hit 9.3%, and property taxes went through the roof. Scott Walker's reforms turned our state around. More people are working this year than ever before. The deficit is gone, and property taxes are lower than when Scott was elected. And he made historic investments in schools and helped bring good-paying manufacturing jobs back to Wisconsin. We cannot afford